This music's so sad. It's hard to start in a video with sad music.
I know.
Hello guys, welcome to Experience Boost Gameplay. My name is Archive.
I'm Rin.
And we are playing the Cinderella Phenomenon. Last time we had a fun, romantic dance with Rod, and it was great, and Sebi was involved. It's always a good time.
When Sebi's involved.
He's
hilarious.
Go back, check it out. Now we're standing in front of Viorica in her toy shop. We're trying to gather some additional information on Rod and his curse, which is the mermaid's curse. We know that he's obviously lost his voice, but Emmeline suggested that she thinks Rod gained something out of it, just like the mermaid in the story did. My theory is that Viorica couldn't walk and that he lost his voice so she could walk and no one remembers. That's the theory I'm going with right now.
I helped him with that theory. I told him
Yes.
it was to do with Viorica.
Yeah, you did. Because at first I was like, did he not dance before? But it didn't make sense. That didn't seem like Rod to give up his voice. So
Definitely goes back to Viorica.
goes back to Viorica for some reason.
It's been talking about here.
Yeah. And she's going to fill us in on what happened. Everything changed after the night she met Decimond, who is currently her fiancé.
I still think that your theory, though, that she didn't walk before is brilliant. So I'm kind of hoping it's that, because that would make it, he does not want to lift his curse, because he doesn't want to exchange it back.
Yep.
All right, here we go. At first, he still smiled, but recently he's been avoiding me. What happened between the two of you that the night you met your fiancé? Nothing. Rod and I did not meet on that day. Prince Rod wasn't there? No. But soon after what happened that night, Rod grew distant. What happened? Wait. Decimond's not him somehow, is it?
You think Decimond is Rod?
Well, it can't be because he's
It
all
can't be Rod.
grumpy and running away. Never mind. Sorry. Crazy theories. It was a stormy night, and I was heading back home. I took the route by the riverbank because it was the shortest route. It was foolish of me. The road was slippery and full of mud. I lost my footing and fell into the water. The waves were strong, and I was certain I was going to drown. Oh. I don't remember what happened in the darkness of that water, only that when I woke up, my head was in Decimond's lap. Although I do wonder, because that is part of the original mermaid story where she confuses, the guy confuses the two girls, the actual mermaid,
So you
with
think
someone
Viorica
else.
confused the two guys?
It's very possibly. So I'm not saying that Decimond is Rod, but maybe it was Rod who's here, and she thought it was Decimond.
Maybe he gave up his legs. Maybe he gave up his voice to be able to swim and save her?
Maybe?
Like the opposite of giving up your voice to get legs, he gave up his voice to
Get in the water?
Get in the water and save her?
Maybe. I'm very curious. Let's just stop theorizing and figure it out. Okay. That was the first time we met, but not the last. He carried me home, and he came by every day as I was recovering. Oh, see? I don't know. And then he came to visit, even after I had recovered. I tried not to get my hopes up too much, because what could this nobleman see in me, a mere commoner? But I still ended up falling in love with him. You have no idea how happy I was when he said he loved me too. It was a dream come true. Of course, every girl dreams of marrying a prince. It was in all of the fairy tales that I read as a child. None of that was at all related to Rod. How does this relate to his curse? You said your relationship with Prince Rod changed after that night. What happened? Viorica sighs. I told Em and Rod about Decimond soon after the incident. Em was happy that the two of us had fallen in love, but Rod didn't say much of anything. That's when I noticed he started to growing distant, and when I realized that he had also lost his voice. He still won't tell me anything, but I figured that her voice fades, but I know that she is referring to the curse. So Rod lost his voice shortly after Viorica met Decimond. The mermaid's curse must have something to do with the tale. The little mermaid traded her voice for legs so that she could be with her prince. But that night, the only person who found their Prince Charming was Viorica. Rod's curse must have something to do with Desmond and Viorica. He became distant with her after finding out about Desmond. Why? Then there is the fact that he still spoke to Viorica, even if he was distant. It was only when he found out about their wedding that he became so cold. I frown as I try to organize my thoughts. How did it get to be this late? I'm so sorry, Rin, but I have to close the shop now. Sorry for the story. I know it has nothing to do with Rod, but it was after that incident that he began to act strangely. I don't think it was much help, but I shake my head. You have told me what you could. Viorica walks me to the door, opening it so that both of us can step out into the street together. I really hope that you're able to help Emmeline and Rod. I hope so too. Did you see Ophelia the other day? I catch sight of two noblewomen sitting on a bench together, not too far away from the toy shop. They are referring to Ophelia without her title. How disrespectful. Who would have thought a peasant like her could almost look like royalty? But her dress. As the queen, she ought to be wearing silks rather than satin. I don't know why, but I bristle at their comments. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but the fact that they are speaking so bluntly in public means that they have little worry of being overheard. I'm still not sure what the king saw in her. Well, you know what they say about ladies lacking natural beauty. Her talents must lie in other, more persuasive areas. Wow. Wow, guys.
You know what? You don't have eyes, ladies, so you're not important. You didn't have names. You're noblewoman A and B.
She must be very persuasive indeed if the king saw it worthwhile to marry her. As the two women laugh, I feel something hot begin to burn at my stomach. Viorica takes in a sharp breath beside me. Since I became a maid in the palace, Ophelia has been nothing but kind to me, a mere servant. She has all the right to flaunt her status and title, yet she remains humble. I now know that this is why everyone at the palace loves her. A common woman like her can only keep a man's attention for so long. I start walking toward them without thinking. Rin, I wouldn't. You have no right to say those things about the queen. The two women are clearly surprised at my interruption. Both of them glare at me. Except that we can't see their eyes. And you have no right to eavesdrop on us. Eavesdropping? Anyone could have heard you. Their mouths fall open. One of the women looks at me for a long time, then sneers suddenly as if something has occurred to her. I thought you looked familiar. You're the crown princess's personal maid. I see you always following her around when she's in town. This is none of your business, girl. Why do you care so much for our opinions? Perhaps it's because the girl idolizes the queen, thinks she might also go from rags to riches. What? Oh, you do have a point. They stand and advance toward me. Do you want the prince for yourself, girl? If a commoner can become queen, it's not too difficult to imagine yourself as a princess, is it? How foolish. You're better off dreaming smaller dreams, girl. They laugh, and the irritation in my chest blazes into full-on anger. Is this what Ophelia has been dealing with for the past year? She's being treated so cruelly when she has done nothing but love the king. And I also ridiculed her just like this. I force myself to look at the cruel woman as I move my hand to the pendant hanging around my neck. I was just as cruel as them. I barely feel Viorica's hand as she rested against my shoulder. Rin, let it go. Her Majesty wouldn't want you to do this. But I cannot just let these two women talk about Ophelia like this. I pull away from Viorica and stand firm. The queen has a good heart. She's far more noble than either of you could ever hope to be. I think back on the times I was cruel to her. Ophelia could have easily reprimanded me for my behavior. She had the right as my stepmother, yet she has been nothing but kind to me. Ophelia never got angry at me, even despite my treatment toward her and her family. She's always treated others with kindness, even when they are cruel to her. Judging from the bitterness in your accusations, it seems like you are jealous of her. How pathetic. The other woman marches toward me, and my free hand instinctively moves to hold her hand just before her palm reaches my cheek. I will not tolerate any insults toward the queen. A soft light emanates from the pendant, and I can only stare at it in shock. I got another good deed? By defending Ophelia? The woman snatches her hand away. How dare a peasant like you talk that way to us? Have you no manners? I could ask you the same. What happened to yours? How dare you? Don't you know who we are, girl? I will see you pay for your impertinence. Our words have far more weight than yours ever will. I will go to the king myself to tell him about how rude you were. And then she can say, they were insulting your wife.
Exactly.
I can pass on that message myself.
Oh yeah, it's Rod. Here we go.
Sorry.
I can pass that message on myself.
I turn and see Rod walking toward us, his expression cold. The two noblewomen hastily curtsy. Your Highness. The noblewomen turn pale as Rod's eyes fall on them. Actually, we have an important dinner engagement. Yes, we do. The two noblewomen curtsy before quickly departing. What are you doing here without your guards?
What trouble have you gotten yourself into now?
What one? I always want to tell him. I'm always more straightforward and blunt.
I think it works. It's worked
like
out
Rin.
better
But
to
a
tell.
couple of those times...
Tell him. Well, it's fine. It's fine.
I just want the crystal. Those women were insulting the queen. I thought a lecture was in order.
Oh, but everyone is entitled to their own opinion.
What? I narrow my eyes at him.
Something like this can't be helped. Bad rumors are unavoidable.
Mar looks away, his expression suddenly pained.
This wouldn't have happened if I hadn't wished for. Did he wish that his mom would be able to marry the king?
So I was wondering if it was something like that. Remember I was saying, is it to do with Emmeline or his mom?
We all think it was Bjorka.
But maybe it was to do with Emmeline and his mom. Maybe it was for them to be together.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been the case. So did he lose his voice, but did he also lose the chance with the person he loved as well? Like in the story, how there was someone who took the prince from The Little Mermaid?
Possibly.
But he doesn't want to break it for his mom? Huh.
We'll find out.
There's so many different possibilities.
So many. Rod never finishes the sentence. He clears his throat before looking at us again. What was he going to say?
We shouldn't have kept you from returning home, Bjorka. I'll take Rin back to the palace.
Bjorka's eyes narrow, and she looks ready to say something, but Rod has already reached out for my hand to pull me along behind him. My eyes narrow as I recognize the path we're on. This is not the way back to the palace.
No, it isn't. We're going to the Martian.
Why?
Because I was on my way there before I was forced to take a detour because someone was drawing attention to herself. Yeah.
What?
Apparently we did go... telling him was the wrong answer.
Oh, darn it. But Rod ignores me, and we walk the rest of the way to the Martian in silence. Waltz is the only person in the reception room when we enter. Oh, Waltz!
Prince Rod? Princess? It's a little late for the two of you to be here. I had meant to be here earlier.
I'm sorry.
Is Lady Parfait here?
Waltz nods.
I'll go get her. Wait here.
Guys, what did she sound like? She was like high-pitched, right?
I think so.
As soon as Waltz leaves us alone, Rod turns to me, his expression rigid. Rod steps closer and grabs my shoulders. Whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa!
Whoa, what's going on?
He's like really mad.
I wasn't able to say so early because we were out in public, but you should know just how much danger you're in now. And yet you thought it was okay to go around on your own?
It was my day off today. It's not unreasonable for me to want time for myself.
Time to yourself? Don't you understand the meaning of be careful? Why would you do something as foolish as going out into town alone?
I can't help but bristle in tone.
I was like, Sebi looks mad. I don't know if he is.
Why are you so angry?
Because you're...
Rod trails off and looks away.
Because you're family.
So you finally acknowledge me as family.
That was a cop-out, Rod. That was a cop-out. That's not what you really wanted to say.
Turning red.
Yeah. To be honest, you're less of a family member and more just important.
Oh, there it is. Important? She's really bad at listening. She's always like repeating what he says.
Because of all that you do for Emmeline.
Oh, there's the cop-out.
You're important to my sister.
He looks uncomfortable as he says the words, and I can't help but marvel at his embarrassment. Why is he so embarrassed? But Rod changes the topic as he turns away from me.
Why were you with Viorica? I can only think of one reason you'd speak to her. My curse. You thought you'd find out about my curse through her.
A shrug. I can only assume that your curse has something to do with Viorica. I look up when Rod says something, then stare at the curious sight before me. He has taken Sebi off his shoulder and is holding the doll in his hands away from his face. The two seem to be engaged in some silent conversation. Then gently, Sebi speaks words I can hear.
This is the right thing to do. You need to let her help you, Rod.
Oh, is he gonna tell me? Parfai's gonna walk in, huh? Rod bites down on his lower lip before briefly closing his eyes. Eventually, he returns Sebi to his usual spot on his shoulder and turns to me.
Fine. You're stubborn and you're not going to quit investigating unless I tell you, are you?
Nope.
You're right. Viorica is the reason I was cursed.
Rod sits down on the settee and lets out a heavy sigh. His eyes are... Stop it! I love you. His eyes are far away as he speaks to me.
I was in love with Viorica, but I wasn't brave enough to tell her. I just followed her around like some kind of puppy. One day, Viorica hadn't come home and it was raining very heavily, so I went out to look for her. I found her walking along the bank of the river. I called out to her and to tell her to be careful, but I don't think she ever heard me. She slipped and...
Rod swallows. He clenches one of his hands into a fist.
She fell into the river. I dived in after her. I somehow managed to get both of us onto the riverbank, but it didn't look like Viorica was breathing. I didn't know what to do. I started panicking. I ran off to try to find help, but I couldn't find anyone in the storm. When I returned, she was gone. I rushed to her house, and a doctor was already there tending to her along with...
Desimond. Rod's gaze is vacant as he nods.
When Viorica began to fall in love with Desimond, I felt helpless.
So that part was true. I was right on that little section that he did save her.
Yes.
But that's still not to do with the curse. There's got to be something more.
Doesn't seem to be cursed at all.
Did you not tell her that you were the one that saved her?
Why would I? Viorica was so happy believing that she and Desimond were fated to be together. I couldn't do that to her.
But surely if you told her... Rod interrupts me.
I want the people I love to be happy. I don't care if their happiness causes me pain. I'd rather bear that alone instead of bringing down those around me.
My chest aches as I watch Rod's face. I never would have guessed that Rod would be so... selfless.
But that didn't stop me from thinking that I could still make her love me instead.
Oh!
I decided to become what I thought Viorica wanted most, the Prince Charming of the fairy tales she so adored. And so I asked a witch to turn me into one. She stole my voice in exchange.
So that is how... It was a combination of the two.
Mm-hmm. Only then did I realize that she had inflicted the fairy tale curse upon me. The mermaid's curse. The next day, the king turned up at our house, proclaiming that he'd been looking for my mother for years and that he'd never stop loving her. When the king married my mother, I became a prince. It was just as the witch promised. But it didn't matter. I didn't see it when I made the deal with the witch, but I couldn't be blind to it forever. Desimond and Viorica really do love each other. They make each other happy. Nothing I can do will ever change that.
Rod, Prince Rod? Oh! Parfait pauses in her tracks when she sees me. Have I interrupted something?
No.
Rod moves over to Parfait, but he stops to glance back at me.
I won't be long.
Parfait looks at Rod, and then at me, her face puzzled, but she does not say a word as Rod and her leave the room. Oh, what does that mean? I did not get the chance to discuss Rod's curse with him later that night, nor did I get the chance to speak with Parfait and Delora about my suspicions of Sir Outcaster.
And with that, we're going to take a break right here in the hallway of transition, as is our normal,
Yes, it
normal
is
thing.
our normal.
But man, some big reveals going on. So we still don't know why, we do know why he was cursed. It was all after that, though. It wasn't because of Viorica. It was...
it was
because
of
of what he wanted.
But he didn't ask for the right thing. He
didn't
asked
ask
to
for the
become
right
a prince instead of... But that's good, because you can't force someone to fall in love with you.
It's true. It's true. So he gave up his voice.
Or Rod was friend-zoned.
Became a prince. So if he breaks his curse, though, what does that mean? Does that mean...
He won't be a prince anymore?
Does that mean the king would stop loving his mom? I don't really see that happening.
No, I don't either. Interesting.
Emmeline wouldn't have to be the crown princess anymore. Which she doesn't want to be.
Well, I mean, technically, if Rin breaks her curse, she
also
again
would be
the crown princess. So
either
one will work for Emmeline.
Intriguing. But with that, guys, if you like what you saw, consider leaving a like down below. Leave some comments on what some fun twists to fairy tales that you know would be. I really think they do a great job with twisting the fairy tales.
Yeah.
It keeps it hard to guess what's going to happen. And there's a lot of different ways they could go. And I think they did a good job. I'm really interested to see where this continues. But consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more content like we're putting up here. And we hope to see you next time. My name is Archive.
And I'm Rin.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.